Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, watching all these leftoids now attempt to lecture us on free speech, I know a lot of people feel hyper defensive in that moment, but my reaction has always been kind of summed up in one word, and that word is really? I mean, really? You Democrats dare lecture us on free speech using this pathetic little Jimmy Kimmel situation? These people are something else, I'll tell you that much. But obviously, once again, they're showing that they don't think we're very smart, or I guess they don't think the average American is very smart. They certainly don't think their voters are very smart. They just assume people are dumb or misinformed or have goldfish memory, as if we just forgot the last 10 years. But no, my friends, we remember every little bit of it, and the hypocrisy is off the frickin' charts. I want to settle this conversation once and for all by highlighting this utter disgusting hypocrisy. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I first want to start off with this little clip right over here, because obviously there's no better way to highlight hypocrisy than by bringing the receipts. We're now getting lectured by these Democrats, but I'm noticing a little bit of inconsistency.
The news about Jimmy Kimmel, I think, is a pretty watershed moment. I think we all need to be talking about. We actually, and it's not just a media story. I know you agree with me on this. It's not just a media story. It's a democracy story. It's a freedom of speech story. It's so many things. You're regularly making sure social media platforms are aware of the latest narratives. You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
Ah, I find that interesting, huh? All of a sudden, free speech is the Democrats' #1 issue. Just like the border became their #1 issue the moment it was election season, after 4 years of open border, chaotic policy nonsense, they're the biggest two-faced people in the game of politics, and it's not even close. You know, I could remember it like it was yesterday. Everybody spreading misinformation should be completely depersoned off the freaking internet. That was the standard back then, but now all of a sudden, Jimmy Kimmel getting fired for pushing disgusting, divisive misinformation, as well as some other things, well, that's a free speech issue. I don't know, I feel like we should be consistent here. And by the Democrats' own definition, Jimmy Kimmel shouldn't just be removed from late-night television. No, shouldn't he also be banned across all social media, right? That's what they demanded. That was their standard. Yeah, what a double frickin' standard it is, what disgusting hypocrisy it is. And again, I want to be absolutely clear, Jimmy Kimmel did not suffer from some conspiracy coming from the White House. Nobody in power forced him off the air, and we know that because even now, as ABC is scrambling to bring him back because of all these loser celebrities now applying all this pressure, well, you've got local affiliates in Sinclair pushing back. They still don't want him. And why? Well, because he wasn't removed for political reasons. He was removed because, first of all, his show sucks. Secondly, he's a liar, and a divisive partisan liar at that. Thirdly, he has a history of saying some really, truly despicable things that bring heat onto the network. And fourth, because his ratings are trash. His show is losing a ton of money. But of course, Democrats would rather take advantage of the moment. I guess it's their version of carpe diem. The moment you see an opportunity to be a complete duplicitous scumbag, then jump on it with absolute glee and excitement. And you know, I know the Democrats are celebrating as if this was a monumental victory for them, and sure, maybe in their little elitist circles, especially in their Hollywood circle, but in the real world, I'm not sure if this was a win. It feels more like today was a moment of exposure to their utter hypocrisy on these issues. It's not just the Jen Psaki clip and so many others, it's also the fact that YouTube just admitted publicly that they did in fact ban people in 2021 through 2024 on behalf of the Biden administration. That's right, they were banning people over politics and forcing censorship for the left, for the Democrats, for the current Democrat administration that was sitting in the office. And now not only has YouTube been forced to admit that, but they're even issuing a statement saying that they're going to start unbanning people who were terminated under those unfair circumstances. And obviously you guys know this is personal for me, I've told you a million times before, and some of you may even remember, but my YouTube channel almost got deleted at the time. Back in 2022, I was staring down the barrel of losing everything. I had 2 strikes on the channel, and that means if I got 1 more, my entire channel would have been removed, and I did end up getting another one. But thankfully, that came after the other fraudulent strikes were appealed, and if I hadn't won that appeal, I'd be gone, erased. And for what? They said it was due to misinformation. But all I was doing was simply reporting on what Republican governors were saying at the time. We were focused on finding the truth and being a part of the conversation, and they were shutting us down and saying, no, we have already established the truth, how dare you speak? But a lot of those truths were largely political, and so they were protecting their political perceived truths at the expense of freedom of speech. And they did it so aggressively and so openly. That's what that Jen Psaki clip from the time represents. ban them all, like she's Oprah Winfrey when it comes to dropping the ban hammer all over social media. If you get banned on one social media platform, you should be banned everywhere else. And of course we saw that they even did the same thing to President Trump, and yet now here they are lecturing us on the First Amendment and protecting it and Donald Trump being a fascist. Don't you dare lecture me on free speech. Don't you dare sit there and try to act like Jimmy Kimmel being dropped for being an absolute douchebag is some kind of fascistic crackdown, you know, the exact same thing that you guys were doing. But of course the Democrats don't have any decency, and so it's just these pathetic outcry videos. I mean, look at this one from this idiotic socialist grifter known as Bernie Sanders.
In these very troubling times, we hear a lot of talk about freedom. So let's say a word about freedom. We now have a president of the United States who just the other day said, and I quote, "I have read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I would think maybe their license should be taken away." End of quote. Really? Mr. President, that's not freedom. That's authoritarianism. Last I heard, under our Constitution, which you swore to uphold, the American people are allowed to criticize the president. The media is allowed to criticize the president or anybody else. We now have a Trump-appointed Federal Communications Commissioner, FCC, named Mr. Carr, who celebrated getting Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air and then threatened other shows saying, "We're not done yet." Hey, Mr. Carr, that's not freedom. That's precisely what happens in authoritarian societies. What's going on right now sounds more like Vladimir Putin's Russia. It sounds more like Mohammed bin Salman's Saudi Arabia.
Oh, it's funny how Bernie Sanders comes out in defense of free speech the moment he can spin this narrative of Trump fascism. But where was this video when it was Donald Trump that got banned? Where was this video when they were mass banning conservatives on social media? Where was this outrage when cancel culture was in full swing and they were ruining people's lives over complete nonsense? Not to mention what they did to him in the primaries 2 times in a row. Yeah, during all of those times, Bernie Sanders never opened his frickin' mouth. Yet I'm supposed to take him seriously. We're supposed to believe that this guy is a beacon of integrity. He's the biggest loser in Washington. It's not even funny. And again, I just want to reiterate, Jimmy Kimmel being let go was not a free speech issue. It was a ratings issue. It was a character of the host issue. It was a corporate issue, a business issue. But what they did to us, what they did to conservatives for 10 years running, what they did to President Trump, what they did to me personally, that was a free speech issue. That was the government applying pressure on social medias to shut us up. And that doesn't even get us into the Twitter files, into the indictments against the president. I mean, the list goes on. And so don't think for a second that we're just gonna forget it. No, we remember every ban, every strike, every account erased. We remember exactly who tried to silence us. We remember when Elon Musk bought X, and then all of a sudden, thousands of people who had gotten banned came back, big voices in many cases, and all of a sudden, the platform was a completely different and more balanced political place. It went from being an ideological echo chamber where the algorithm was catered towards the left and only left-wingers were allowed to speak and we were shadow banned or full-on banned. It went from that to an actual beacon of free speech. We are the side of free speech, and the idea that they can co-opt that, never gonna happen. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.